नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति। नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसु वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको कालिको एहि पस्सिको अपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति। नमो तस्स नियानिक सदम्मसा। ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचि पटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिस युगानि अट्टपुरिस पुग्गल एषा भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्किनेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति। नमो तस्स अट्ट आर्य पुग्गला महासंगसा। ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संगो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। विपट्टि पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तं तं बनामहे। समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजसा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्कदम्। धम्म सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्म सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता परित्त सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। निधिं निदेति पुरिसो गंभीरे वोदकन्तिके अत्ते किच्चे समुत्पन्ने अतायामे भविष्यति। राजतो वा दुरुत्तस्सा चोरतो पीडितस्स वा इणस्सा वा पमोक्षाया दुर्भिक्षे आपदासु वा एतदत्ताय लोकस्मिन् निधीनामा निधीयति तावा सुनिहितो संतो गंभीरे वोदकन्तिके ना सब्बो सब्बदा एवा तस्सा तं उपकपति निधि वा ठाना चवति सत्तवस्सा विमुयति नागा वा अपनामेन्ति यक्का वापि हरन्ति नं अप्पिया वापि दायादा उद्धरन्ति अपस्सतो यदा पुत्तक्षयो होति सब्बमेतं विनश्यति यस्य दानेन शीलेन संयमेन दमेन च निधि सुनिहितो होति इत्या पुरुषस्स वा चेतियं हि च संघे वा पुग्गले अतिथिषु वा मातरि पितरि चापि अतो जत्तं हि भातरि येषु निधि सुनिहितो अजेयो अनुगामिको पहाया गमनीयेषु एतं आदाय गच्छति असाधारणमत्ते सं अचोरा हरणो निधि कैराता धीरो पुत्थानि यो निधि अनुगामिको ये स देवा मनुस्सानं सब्ब काम ददो निधि यं यदेव विपत्यन्ति सब्बमेते न लभ्यति सुवर्णथा सुसाराथा सुसंथाना स्वरूपता आदिपच्चा परिवारो सब्बमेते न लभ्यति पदे सरज्जंगि सरियं चक्रवर्ती सुगंपियं देवरज्जंपि दिव्येषु सब्बमेते न लभ्यति मानुषिका च संपत्ति देवलोके च यारति या च निब्बान संपत्ति सब्बमेते न लभ्यति मित्त संपदमागम्मा योनिसो वा पयुत्तजो विद्या विमुक्ति वसी भावो सब्बमेते न लभ्यति पटि संविदा विमोक्षा चाया च सा वा कपारमि पच्चैक बोधि बुद्ध भूमि सब्बमेते न लभ्यति एवं महत्तिका येषा यदिदं पुत्र संपदा तस्मादीरापसंसन्ति पंडिता कटपुत्यतन्ति ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना सोतिनो होतु सब्बदा ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना होतु नो जयमंगलम् ये तेन सच्चवज्जेना पातु नो रतनत्रयम् सब्बित्यो विवज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अंतरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमंगलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसंघानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते नखतयकभूतानां पापग्रह निवारण परित्तस्सानुभावेन नो उपद्रवे देवो वसातु कालेन सस्य संपत्ति हेतु च पीतो भवतु लोको च राजा भवतु दम्मिको यं दुन्निमित्तं अवमंगलं चायो चामनापो सकुणस्य सद्दो पापग्रहो दुःसुपिनं अकन्तं बुद्धानुभावेन विनाशमेन्तु धम्मानुभावेन विनाशमेन्तु संघानुभावेन विनाशमेन्तु आकाशता च बुम्मट्टा देवनागा महिद्दिका पुण्यन्तं अनुमोदित्वा चिरं रक्षन्तु शासनं चिरं रक्षन्तु देशनं चिरं रक्षन्तु मम परं एतावता च अम्मेहि संपतं पुण्य संपदं सब्बे देवा अनुमोदन्तु सब्बे भूता अनुमोदन्तु सब्बे सत्ता अनुमोदन्तु सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया निब्बान संपत्ति सिद्धिया इदं नो न्यातिनं होतु सुखिता होन्तु न्यातयो इदं नो न्यातिनं होतु सुखिता होन्तु न्यातयो इदं नो न्यातिनं होतु सुखिता होन्तु न्यातयो सब्बे बुद्धा बलप्पाता पच्चेकानं च यं बलम् अर्हन्तानं च तेजेन रक्कं वदामि सब्बसो सब्बे धम्मा बलप्पाता अर्य सच्चनं च यं बलं धम्मचक्रस्य तेजेन रक्कं वदामि सब्बसो सब्बे संगा बलप्पाता विमुक्तानं च यं बलं शासनस्य तेजेन रक्कं वदामि सब्बसो इमिना पुण्याकम्मेन मामे बालसमागमो शतं समागमो होतु यावनिपानपत्या इदं मे पुण्याकमम् आसवक्षयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपच्चयो होतु। साधु 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 सुखियन्तु मंगल। So today, Independence Day. So all over India, people are celebrating Independence Day. Then I thought of, say, just introducing some Dhamma aspects on this day to correctly define what exactly is independence, what exactly is freedom, how significant is the Buddha's dispensation. In one of the suttas, Buddha says, each and every word of Buddha is about freedom only. So that is the yardstick to measure whether it is Buddha's word or whether it is not. If you want to decide, if you come across with some teachings, if you want to decide whether this is Buddha's teaching or somebody has corrupted this, then you can keep this thumb rule, this yardstick. What is that? If that liberates your mind to some extent, or it motivates you to freedom, freeing yourself in any way, in any manner. We are tied up in 1 million ways. We are bound in so many different ways.
So if any of the teachings, if any of the words of anybody, let us say, if it frees you, then you can say, you can authoritatively say, it is Buddha's words. If it binds you, if it confuses you, if it binds you, then you are sure that it is not Buddha's words. That is the significance given by Buddha about the freedom, about this independence or freedom. So to understand this freedom correctly, this is the right occasion. That's what I thought of. So people are enthusiastically, they celebrate Independence Day. But the correct meaning of independence, correct meaning of freedom, if we realize, then definitely we will progress in this path of freedom. Otherwise, many a times, just like I explained, I define these four noble truths. So though all of us, we want happiness, we are looking for happiness, we are searching intensively to get happiness, but we end up in suffering because we don't know the cause of happiness or suffering and the cause of suffering. In the same way, we don't know the cause of freedom. And also we don't know the cause of bondage. Bondage and the cause of bondage, freedom and the cause of freedom, we don't know. And we get stuck. So in the name of freedom only, we get stuck. We will be bounded by so many things. So understanding freedom also, just like understanding happiness, just like understanding suffering and happiness, the same way it is better to understand freedom and bondage. And of course, the causes of freedom, the causes of bondage, these things, if you understand, then very authoritatively, very confidently, very clearly, one can progress in this path of freedom. So that is the idea of, say, calling today's Dhamma talk or titling or naming today's Dhamma talk as freedom from what? Everybody, all of us, we talk about freedom. Freedom is used in both the positive terms and also in a negative way also. Negative way in the sense like freedom from what? In that sense also we use the word freedom, and we use freedom like financial freedom, like political freedom, social freedom. That is one positive way of say using this word freedom. And we use this word freedom in the other way also, like freedom from poverty, freedom from oppression, freedom from say discrimination, freedom from disease, freedom from sickness. So in that way also we use the word freedom. Freedom from, in that way also we use the word freedom. And what freedom? Financial freedom, political freedom, social. In that sense also we use the word freedom. And of course, everybody just like aspires for happiness, everybody aspires for freedom also. There is a story where Alexander, one of his soldiers, so when he fought one war and he became victorious, and and what is the gift that he wants? In that way, when he was questioned, then he says freedom. Just leave me from this bondage of working for you, working for your army. And that he appreciates. But for that, of course, it is not so easy in that way. Again, he was asked to fight some more battles and something like that. That story goes on. But that time, Alexander also realized the importance of freedom. And then, of course, he started thinking in a different way. That's what the history says. So in that way, the great people who are interested, like whether the great emperors or great, say, scholars, they understand the importance of freedom maybe at the last part of their life, and they can't achieve it. They die halfway without achieving the freedom. And today we'll understand the pros and cons of the bondage and freedom, how people stuck in bondage, how wise people they escape from bondage, they progress towards freedom. Those things, let us see how much we can cover today. And and before discussing about this freedom, today's sutta that we have chanted now, it's Nidhi Khanda Sutta. Nidhi Khanda Sutta. So about this sutta we will see for some time, for some 10 minutes. And of course, this also gives some insights into the meaning of freedom, the significance of freedom. So we will just see the meaning of this Nidhi Khanda Sutta and how it is connected to today's topic, that is freedom. And then we will see about freedom from what. What is that that is tying us, that is binding us, that is say holding on to, that is holding us to this bondage, this samsara or this bondage. What is that is holding us to this bondage? That we will see after say knowing a little bit about this Nidhi Khanda Sutta. Of course, Nidhi, this word is very much familiar in all Indian languages. All of us we know. Nidhi means the treasure. The treasure. Like say, generally Nidhi is used for like hidden treasure, generally in ancient days. And now, of course, the treasure is used like there's some secret, say, property or possession, or which is not generally conceived, which is conceived, which is not like known by many people. In that sense, usually people use the word Nidhi. And Khanda means like a portion of it, a part of it. Khanda means like the part, portion. So the portion of this treasure, portion of the treasure, that is the savings that we have to make in our life. Whatever we earn, the savings that we have to make with our earnings, that is what is about this this Nidhi Khanda Sutta. The savings of our earnings is this Nidhi Khanda Sutta. How exactly we can save, how exactly we have to earn, and how exactly we can save. Why savings? Savings, everybody, generally people save for the future. Savings is for future. So what exactly we have to save for the future? What exactly protects us, saves us, or supports us in future? So that's what we are going to learn in this Nidhi Khanda Sutta. And of course, our say survival in the future, that's always one deep-rooted fear. And how to be free from that fear of future, fear of survival in the future. That's what we are going to learn in this Nidhi Khanda Sutta. So in that way, this sutta is also related to our today's topic, that is this freedom from what? Freedom from the fears. That is one biggest freedom that everybody looks into. Fear is say seen, or fear is experienced in different facets of life, different dimensions of life. Somehow the human mind is always obsessed with different kinds of fears. Some people it is the fear of say health, fear of say wealth, fear of losing someone, fear of losing some relation, fear of losing life, fear of losing name and fame, fear of losing the power and position. So many ways, in so many ways, we are stuck with these different kinds of fears, and how to be free from these fears. So some idea we will get in this Nidhi Khanda Sutta, and then we'll continue our discussion on this today's topic about this freedom from what, and how one should take up this freedom struggle to correctly achieve that freedom. Of course, one has to struggle to achieve anything, to achieve freedom also one has to strive and struggle. And what is the right way to strive and struggle to achieve this freedom, that also we will see after discussing about this Nidhi Khanda Sutta. So what is the meaning of this chanting that we have chanted now? The discourse on the amount of savings, the portion of savings, that is Nidhi Khanda Sutta. This is also, the English translation is also in the form of verses. Of course, this is very, very simple. In a poetic way, it is there. I think it doesn't require much explanation. So whatever I chanted in Pali in the form of verses, the same thing is translated into English in the form of verses. So if there is some necessity of explaining, then I will explain also. Now, what is the meaning of this Nidhi Khanda Sutta? A person stores his savings in a deep pit close to water, thinking when a duty or need has arisen, it will be there to help me. In ancient days, there were no Swiss banks, there were no some secret say places where the people can hide their wealth. They used to hide their wealth by making deep pit close to a water stream or river, little away from, of course, the river, because maybe to identify and also maybe for the sake of safety, that may be the suitable place for those people to hide their wealth. So with what intention they hide their wealth? They dig a deep pit and hide the wealth there. Their say gold coins or whatever it is. So what is the intention? When a need arises, when a duty or a need arises, then it will be there it will be there to help me. So thinking in that way, they used to keep their treasure in such a remote place near a water source, near a water source or water flow like a river, by making a deep pit. To free me from a king if slandered, or from a thief, or from a debt, or famine. For this kind of help, savings are stored up in the world. Many a times the king may confiscate all your property because he may develop some kind of ill will, some kind of grudge towards you, or the enemy king may attack and he will take away all the possessions that you have, or the thieves may carry away your possessions from your home, or because of debt, you may have to give up your wealth, or because of famine, if there is famine also, then you have to lose all your wealth. So in such a situation, this wealth that I am hiding here, this hidden treasure, it will come to my rescue. So keeping that in mind, people will say hide this treasure in some secured place. Although it is well stored in a deep pit close to water, still it cannot help him in all things on every occasion. Though with much care, with much intelligence, with much tactfulness, with much cleverness or tactfulness, whatever you say, you save that money or you save that wealth in a very safe place, but still you may not take the benefit of it. You may not get the right result by hiding that. It may not come to your rescue in the right time. For perhaps those savings are removed from that place. There are different reasons, different ways by which that amount, that the treasure that you have placed in some secured place, it may be removed in different ways. Or he forgets the signs telling where they are. Or the person who has hidden that wealth, he may forget about the signs. Signs for what? Signs to reach that place. He may forget about where he has hidden that wealth, that treasure, and how to reach that place. He may forget. Or Nagas take them away. Some Nagas, like one kind of, you can say whether you believe it or not. That's what is mentioned here. There are some supernormal, super human powers, like this kind of Naga beings. They may take them away, or Yakas carry them off. There is something called Chatu Maharajika, plane of existence. It's immediately after the human plane, as I used to tell in level 3, I think in level 3, about 31 planes of existence. Just above the human plane, there is one plane of existence called Chatu Maharajika. Chatu means 4. Maharajika means like kings, the rulers. So the 4 cardinal directions are ruled by 4 these divine beings. They're not absolutely divine. They're like in between human and divine planes. They will have some powers more than the humans. So they say they protect these 4 cardinal directions. Towards the north, these Yakas or Nagas; towards east, some Nagas and Kumbandas. There are 4 kinds of beings. They protect these 4 directions. These 2, Nagas and Yakas, they also protect 2 of these 4 cardinal directions, and they may take away these treasures. So in the human world, there are so many enemies for your treasure, for your wealth, property, like thieves, like kings, hostile kings, or your own heads, hostile heads, or successors, or hostile heads, or family members, or relatives. The same way in the say this in this plane of, in these different planes of existence, not just in the plane of human beings. In this universe, there are different beings like Nagas and Yakas. They may take away whatever you have hidden, or the hairs he dislikes, steal them unseen. There are different possibilities that Buddha is talking about here. The hairs whom say you dislike or they dislike you, if they come to know about this, because after all they will be having an eye on your property and your treasure, they may see this and they may take away your treasure, that where you have hidden. From that place they may take away all the treasure that you have hidden. And when his merit comes to an end, all of his savings will be destroyed. See, it is the point of your merits also, you see. Merits, as I used to say all the time. In Mahamangala Sutta also there is one statement called, so if you have some merits, the previous merits, so whatever you earn, it will be with you. If you don't have merits, then whatever you earn with hard work, it may go away. Your merits means your punya, your punya kriyas. So if your merits are over, if your punya is over, then whatever you have hidden, wherever you have hidden, in such a remote place, thinking that nobody will take away your possessions, your treasure, your wealth, your whatever may be the form, whether it is in the form of gold or whether it is in the form of silver, whatever is the form. So all those things will be taken away if your merits are over, if your punya is over. However, if a woman or a man who through giving, now you see, now Buddha is talking about, then what is the safest way of saving? How you can save your possessions, your earnings? What is the best way to save your earnings? That's what you are going to see now. That's what Buddha is explaining now. So though you may earn a lot of wealth and you can save it in different banks, maybe in some, there are different kinds of banks that I heard people are trying to save, like in Swiss banks, or maybe different opportunities are there, ways are there, channels are there for the people to save money. But so of course that I don't know elaborately all those different ways, but many of you may be knowing. Better than those ways of saving the money, like in different places, keeping your say wealth or your money. So Buddha is saying, what is the best way to save your money, save your earnings, which is useful now, here and now, and also in the future. Generally, people save money for the future. So future savings, how you can achieve, what is the best way to save? However, if a man or a woman who through giving, through virtue, through meditation, and through self-control, store his or her savings up, that is said to be the best saving. These are the best merits that you can accrue. At the same time, these are the savings that will help you to protect your wealth also. It will help you to protect your mind. In addition to that, it will help you to protect your physical necessities, your wealth, to save your loved ones also. But I've heard, if some evil person is there, then they will blame their parents also. That means the parents' karma also, the parents' merits also have an influence on their children. So in the same way, here the merits you can accrue by these different virtues, these meritorious actions like giving, the dana, virtue, shila, meditation, bhavana, and self-control, dhamma, controlling the mind. That is said to be the best saving. By this kind of meritorious actions, you can save your mind, you can save your body, you can save your earnings, you can save your relatives, the people who are related to you, who are your nati, or who are your kith and kin. That is the best way to save. Not only saving the money, you can save the things in these different ways, these different mind, body, people around you, the dependents, the kith and kin, everything can be saved in this one royal approach. What is that? These meritorious actions like dana, shila, bhavana, dhamana, all these things. If one respects stupas or the community of monastics, or in an individual or a guest or his mother or father, also an elder brother and sister, those savings called merits are well stored up. Those merits follow when going to the next life. So authoritatively, Buddha has declined. Buddha has say prized or explained the best way of saving. So the next meritorious action that I always used to tell you, along with this self-control, meditation, of course, morality and generosity, there's one more, that is apachayana. Apachayana means respecting the respectables. So who are the respectables? Respecting the monuments, which are like, which symbolizes some great things like liberation, like superior human qualities. So such kind of monuments, and the people who are striving for that, the Aryas, the noble people, respecting them, the spiritual people, respecting them, or even the guests, the individuals of the guests, one's mother and father, respecting the parents, and also the elders, elder brother and sisters, the elders, and you have to respect. These things come under what is called apachayana, respecting the respectables. This is also one wonderful meritorious action. If we are involved in these meritorious actions also, then see, whatever you respect means you care for them, you just say you will go down, you will just give up your ego in front of such people, respectable. That is the meaning of respecting. Then because of their superior mental abilities, knowingly or unknowingly, you will be protected from such kind of superior mental abilities from the world, from different corners of the world. You will get protection, and that kind of protection will save you, save your mind, save your body, save your kith and kin, save your property, save your wealth also. In that way, Buddha has very authoritatively assuring that. So cultivate these meritorious actions like this apachayana, in addition to this dana, shila, bhavana. So then what will happen? You will be very well protected, and that is the best way of savings. That is one of the finest way of saving that one has to practice. They are well stored up. Those merits follow when going to the next life also. These meritorious actions, these merits, the merits that accrue, it will come to your protection, come to your rescue, even after this life. It will be carried away to your next life also. He gives up wealth when he has to leave this life. So with regard to this wealth that you have to give up in this life, you can't hold on to your wealth, and with that wealth only you can't die, and it will not be carried away along with your death. But saving called merits go along with him. But these merits, if you can cultivate, if you can accrue, then the merits it will go along with you. And it is not shared like this wealth. Nobody can, this wealth of merits, nobody can take it away from you. No thief carries those savings away. No thief or no king or no postal person will take away your merits. Your wealth can be taken away by hundreds of ways. In so many ways, your wealth can be taken away, but your merits cannot be taken away in any way, in any form. It can't be taken away. The wise person should make merit, for that savings follows one along. That savings satisfies every desire of gods and humans. Whatever they wish for, through this merit, they receive all. Yes. See, if you are a generous person, if you are a moral person, if you are a meditating person, if you are a person who is working on self-control, mind purification, if you are a person with this apachayana, right, respecting the respectables, being humble, being say gentle, such kind of people are prized and protected by not only humans, even the deities, even the divine beings. Even the divine beings, they prize and protect you. And it will satisfy the desire of gods and humans also. Even the gods and humans, they will be satisfied with your way of living, with your personality, with your behavior, with your attitude. So that kind of satisfying all the beings, especially the right beings, the beings with say right mental virtues, mental abilities, like the good humans and the divine beings. Getting their protection is also very, very important. There's something called Devatanusati, in contemplating the qualities of the divine beings. So that is one way of getting protection from the divine beings. But more powerful way is you becoming straight, your mind cultivating. If you cultivate your mind, then in this right way, through this right view actions, through this right view speech, through this right view say intentions, if you cultivate your mind, then you will get a better protection. So in that way, protection from the matured, evolved, some more powerful human beings, and also the divine beings is possible when you cultivate these meritorious actions. An attractive, gorgeous look, a sweet voice, a beautiful body, power, and many friends. Through this merit, they receive all. See, not only this protection from these powerful people and beings, and also you will get protection in the form of your physical features. You will get superior physical features like very attractive debonair look. Your facial features will be very attractive, and you will get a sweet voice also, and attractive, beautiful body, power, human powers, and many friends. Tabbamittata or Bahumittata, getting many good friends. That is also one special boon will be bestowed. Boon in the sense like, it's again, of course, it is action and reaction, law of cause and effect. So because you are friendly, because you are respecting the respectables, because you are generous, because you are moral, because of these meritorious actions, it will be reciprocated. So you will get the good friends, you will get the good physical features, the power, leadership in a community, a human kingship. So if these things, meritorious actions, if you keep on accumulating, then your power will keep on growing. You'll become a leader in a community, a human kingship, you will become a king for a province. Not only there, it will stop. And whatever happiness, a universal king, Chakravarti, so one can become a universal monarch also, just by cultivating these meritorious actions. Also kingship in the heavens, not only in the human world, even the kingship in the heavens, even in the divine worlds also. the rulers of the different divine beings, divine worlds. So how they become rulers? Because of these meritorious actions only. Sakka, the ruler of the Tavatimsa heaven, he became the king of 33, the most powerful ministers in that Tavatimsa. How he became the king there? Because of these meritorious actions only. In his previous life, when he was a human being, he used to do a lot of service, lot of this generosity, lot of morality, lot of moral practices, generous practices. He used to do a lot of service also. He used to provide a lot of food, a lot of shelter, water, so many ways, growing trees, making roads, so many things he used to do when he was a human being, this Sakka. Because of all his generous actions and his morality, strong morality, because of all these things, he became king of Tavatimsa. In the same way, Tusita heavens, generally the kings of Tusita heavens are our Buddhas. The future Buddhas, they always become the kings of Tusita heavens. Our Buddha, our Gautama Buddha also, in his previous life, he was the king of this Tusita heaven, Swetaketu. Why he became the king of this Tusita heaven? Because of his meritorious actions when he was a human being. In so many lives, he used to do a lot of generous actions, a lot of moral actions, a lot of meditation. All these things will make him the king in the Tusita heavens. So that way, not only in the human planes, even in the divine planes, the kingship is the result of your meritorious actions. So meritorious actions is the best savings that will help you in this life and in the future lives. In that way, Buddha is encouraging the listeners, the audience, to indulge in these meritorious actions. Human pleasures, divine pleasures, and even Nibbana, the end of suffering, is possible through this merit they receive all. So not only these powers and glory and all these things, even the pleasures, sensual pleasures also. The humans, of course, they have to satisfy gratitude, they have to go for this gratification of the essential things. So that is possible if you are into these meritorious actions. If you are very stingy, if you are very immoral, then you can't even enjoy the sensual pleasures. Please understand this. People want to enjoy, but they don't enjoy the essential things. It's because they were so stingy, they were so immoral, they were so disrespectful towards the good people or the right people. They were so arrogant. Such people, they can't enjoy even the sensual pleasures, though they may be having a lot of wealth. To enjoy human pleasures or the sensual pleasures, again it requires the merits. If you don't have merits, you can't enjoy the pleasures, whether it is human pleasures or divine pleasures or even Nibbana. You want to reach Nibbana or to enjoy that bliss of Nibbana, you have to go through this staircase, these steps of meritorious actions. You can't escape from this. Many people, they think, oh, I can simply meditate, keeping a lot of stinginess in my mind, a lot of immorality in my mind. So in so many things, if you have corrupted your mind and you think that simply sitting and thinking that I'm meditating, no, you have to fulfill all these physical moral actions, verbal moral actions, mental moral actions, which are nothing but the meritorious actions, like this dana, shila, bhavana, apachayana, vayavacha, pattidana, punyanumodana, dhamma savana, dhamma desana, chittu jukama. In that way, there are 10 meritorious actions. You have to fulfill all these 10 meritorious actions. Don't think that simply, again, with a lot of people I've seen with arrogance, with proudness, they stick on to something, though their mind is, say, doing a lot of unnecessary things, but simply with wrong view or with some not having clarity in what is that leads to Nibbana, what is that leads to human pleasures, divine pleasures. So this is the only way. Fulfill all these meritorious actions, plunge into, work on these meritorious actions. Then only you can get these pleasures, different kinds of pleasures, sensual pleasures, divine pleasures, Nibbana pleasure, Nibbanic bliss. So all these things are possible if you practice the meritorious actions. Mental development by the attainment of true knowledge and liberation. Samma Vimukti, if you want to free your mind with true knowledge and get to liberation, with the association of good friends and thinking in line with the Dhamma, continuation of wholesome qualities. Through this merit, they receive all the higher spiritual attainments, the liberations and enlightenment of the disciples of a Buddha, awakening of a private Buddha, the awakening of a fully enlightened Buddha. Through this merit, only they receive all. So this is of great benefit, that is to say, the accumulation of merit. Therefore, the wise and intelligent always prize the making of the merit. Forget about the human pleasures, divine pleasures. You want to become an arahant, you want to become the disciple of Buddha. And many people, they used to say that they want to encounter Buddhas in the future. If you want to encounter Buddhas in the future, again, this is the condition, you see. If you want to become the disciple of Buddha or encounter Buddha, it's not so easy. Each and every person simply aspiring, he can't encounter Buddha, the supremely enlightened one, the purest of the pure. For that, what you have to do? You too should work on this purification, this mental purification, mind cultivation. Simply, I pray for Buddha, he should appear, or I should see him. In that way, simply craving or simply praying will not help you. Praying in the sense with humbleness, it will add up to some kind of little bit of purification. But in addition to that, all these meritorious actions, which will purify your mind in an authoritative way. This is right view purification. Please understand, cultivating these 10 wholesome actions is the right view mind purification. If you don't involve or indulge in this right view mind purification, you want to come across, you want to say, encounter Buddhas is not possible. You want to see Buddhas is not possible. And you want to become a Pacceka Buddha, you want to become an Arahant, you want to become Pacceka Buddha means private Buddha, one who wants to achieve the liberation, the enlightenment by himself, though by cultivating his mind and become a private Buddha or Pacceka Buddha. And I'm not interested in, say, meeting the Supreme Buddha, but I can do myself. I want to become a Buddha by myself. In that way, if somebody asks for such person also, this is the way. He has to fulfill these 10 meritorious actions. And then even to become Samma Sambuddha. I myself want to become Samma Sambuddha. That's how many bodhisattvas, like in this Mahayana and this Tibetan Buddhism, they always talk about becoming bodhisattvas. So even if you want to become Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, if you want to take up this path of Bodhisattva, this is the way. You have to, and you have to strive very hard, very intelligently and diligently. If you are having higher aspirations like Samma Sambuddha, Pacceka Buddha, or Arahant, to encounter Buddha, or to become a divine or a Brahmic being or a divine being, or to become the universal monarch, or to become, or to possess, say, the kingship of a province, or to become a leader, or to enjoy the divine pleasures or the human pleasures, or to have protection for you, for your body, for your mind, for your kith and kin, or also to get back the wealth, or to get a lot of wealth, health. For all these things, these meritorious actions is the only way. Simply saving your wealth in some deep pit near a water source, thinking that it is the treasure that will come to my protection when I'm in need. No. That too has so many difficulties, that too has so many problems. It can be taken away in several ways, as it was explained in the beginning. So the best way to save, the best way to keep a part of your savings for your protection, for your future protection, in an integrated way, in a holistic way, if you want to keep, say, your protection in all possible ways of protection, and also to progress in this ladder of power, ladder of happiness, ladder of pleasure, ladder of liberation, like Arahant, Pacceka Buddha, Samma Sambuddha, that is the ladder of liberation, that is, let us say. a ladder of, say, right faith or right aspirations like meeting Buddha and all these things. For all these things, this is the authoritative way. What is that? Indulging or plunging into this practice of these meritorious actions like dana, shila, bhavana, apachayana, vayavacha, pattidana, pattanumodana. That means without being jealous, appreciating others' meritorious actions. And whatever merits you get, sharing those merits with your departed relatives or with all beings in the universe, not being say stingy, not being selfish of even the merits also you should share. That is Pattidana. Pattanumodana means like rejoicing in others' merits. Dhammasavana, listening to this kind of discourses, this kind of talk where the mind will get the right view. Dhamma Sakacha, like discussing in the Dhamma, the teachings, in the right teachings, which will straighten your view, which will make your mind full of right views. So that is called the Tijukamma. So in that way, if you cultivate these 10 meritorious actions, then so in all these different ways, in the ladder of pleasures, in the ladder of protection, in the ladder of power, in the ladder of liberation, the ladder of faith. Of course, faith gives one very sweet joy. To achieve that sweeter joy by having this right faith. So to achieve the progress in that right faith also, so you require these meritorious actions. The higher spiritual, yeah, all these things. So this is of great benefit. That is to say, the accumulation of merit. So accumulation of merit is of great benefit. Therefore, the wise and intelligent always prize the making of merit. So wise and intelligent people, what they should do? They should always prize in making of merits. Work on these merits thoroughly. Understand these merits in different ways and means. You understand and practice and cultivate. So that is the that is the way to achieve all these different things that I have explained. That is about Nidhikanda Sutta. So in addition to these things, to achieve freedom also, this is the way. So that way I can connect this Nidhikanda Sutta with today's topic of freedom from what and how to achieve freedom, and freedom from what is first thing, and how to achieve that freedom. Again, this is the way. Practicing these 10 wholesome meritorious actions, it will help you to achieve the right freedom. So first we will see freedom from what. So of course we want freedom from poverty, freedom from oppression, freedom from say bad rulers, freedom from ignorant rulers, foolish rulers, freedom from foreign rulers, freedom from, say, disease, and freedom from sickness, freedom from poverty, of course. All these things definitely we want. But also, of course, we have to have this financial freedom. We should have right livelihood. We should have right profession which suits to my temperament, my abilities. And of course, we have to have, say, the social freedom. We should have self-respect. We should have respect in the society. We should have, say, either equality and all these things. That is social freedom. And we should have the political freedom, of course. But we have seen that we should not be oppressed by some, say, the evil rulers or foreign rulers. So in that way, political, as I was telling you, the freedom, you can use it in the positive sense, and also you can use it in the negative sense. Freedom from what? So freedom from all these things, from poverty, from say sickness, from stress, freedom from stress. That is also an important thing now. That is actually a major aspect now. Freedom from disease, or at the same time, freedom from insecurity, freedom from stress. So these things, of course, one has to work upon, one has to think, one has to look into. But if you have the freedom if we are aspiring for freedom from defilements, because our own defilements, our oppression, please understand, is 50% from the outside, or more than 50%, I can say, from inside. It's not just 50%, more than 50% is from inside only. And many a times, in many situations, it will be 100%. Many a times, if we don't follow the correct principles of the life, then we are bound to be oppressed by the others. In the same way, even our poverty also. In the same way, so many of our suffering, many of different kinds of misery, different kinds of suffering that we go through by losing that freedom in different ways in the society from the external things, is the root is in the mind only. The root is internal only. What is that internal root? Is our defilements. If we are say lazy, if we are say if we are jealous, if we are hateful, if we are greedy, especially greedy and selfish, then becoming rich will be relatively difficult. Then you will not be having freedom from poverty. In the same way, so many things. In level 3, I used to explain about one discourse, Chulakama Vibhanga Siddha. So why the disparities in the life, in the world? Why some people are rich, why some people are poor, why some people are healthy, why some people are always suffering from a lot of diseases, why some people are live for a long longevity, their longevity is more, their lifespan is more, and some people die at very young age. And why some people possess a lot of power and a lot of respect, why some people they don't do that, they can't do that. But I've seen some people struggle the whole life, but they can't do whatever they want to do. But some people they don't do anything sometimes because of, again, the merits that they have possessed. That will come to their rescue and they progress like anything. In that way, so in all these disparities, please understand, don't be jealous and don't compare and compete unnecessarily. So work on your own merits. Subdue your own defilements by working on your merits. So freedom from defilements is the only way to get freedom from all other things. All other freedoms will fall in place if you are working for the freedom from defilements. Defilements means what? The cankers. Asavakaya. Asava means like cankers, the defilements, the mental defilements, the mental secretions, the mental defilements like your greed, your hatred, your delusion, your competition, your say jealousy, your fears, your worries. And of course, your fears, your worries, your jealousies, they are again rooted in your greed, your hatred, and your delusion. Again, your greed, hatred, and delusion is rooted in your ignorance. So work on your own ignorance. Be free from one's own ignorance. That is what is Buddhi. Buddhism means. Buddhi or Buddha is the one who will help you to come out of your own ignorance. The intelligence of freeing your mind is actually the Buddhatva, or the Buddhi in this Buddha's teachings. Buddhi is the intelligence that will help you to come out of your own mental defilements. Because the freedom from these mental defilements is the way to achieve all these kinds of meritorious actions, and thereby to achieve all these different kinds of freedoms, freedom from all these different things that I've told you. Because of these reasons only, many of our political in India, and of course it was emulated by so many other foreigners also, like highlighting non-violence, highlighting say truthfulness. Truthfulness is very, very important. In all the meritorious actions, truth is actually an integral part. In all the meritorious actions, non-violence, compassion is an integral part. is compassion and wise truthfulness, compassion and wisdom. That should be an integral part in all your meritorious actions. Then you can achieve what is called this freedom from defilements, freedom from mental cankers, mental negative secretions, negative feelings. Just think, now I'm enjoying this loneliness from past 10-15 days. I can see how my defilements that lead to my negative thoughts, and how these negative thoughts lead to the negative sensations, the negative sounds, the negative impressions in the mind. And so in that way, our own defilements, it will create a negative world around me. Our own positive things, wholesomeness, our own wholesomeness, let us say meritorious actions, it will create a positive world around me. That I am very clearly seeing now. So this is like one spiritual laboratory, this place, and luckily I'm getting seclusion also. So when these things are, of course, to experiment so many other aspects spiritually, this is I'm getting the right place and the location and the time also. So one of the aspects that I have observed, of course, everybody can observe. It's not a dead thing, I'm telling you, but just I'm sharing my experience. So defilements will create all negativities in all forms. If you compensate it, if you nullify it, if you say counter it with these wholesome actions, then you can achieve the freedom from defilements. So please understand this. So whatever you do as a politician, you have to do a few things, do it. But deep inside, this is my freedom struggle. I am born to free myself from my defilements. That is my goal, that is my aspiration, that is my freedom struggle. Keep this in mind, in your mind. If you're a housewife, if you're a student, if you want to achieve so great things, or you want to get the laurels in your career, in your profession, in your business, whatever profession is, whatever freedom you want to achieve with your profession, go ahead, please do it. But deep inside, you know that your core responsibility, your right freedom is the freedom from the defilements. I have to work on this more vigorously than any other kinds of freedom. If I work on this freedom from defilements, then automatically all other freedoms I can achieve. Have this clarity. Then you'll be celebrating the Independence Day each and every day. You are celebrating, not just on August 15th. So you can celebrate independence each and every day. And that is the right freedom struggle. Okay. I think it's time. So we conclude with this. So the message or the essence of today's discussion is the freedom struggle should be always rooted in this freedom from the defilements. And if you are working on this freedom from defilements, then you can be free from so many other things that have tied you, that have burdened you, that have grasped you, that have that are holding you, that are keeping you in the bondage, in different kinds of bondage. If you want to escape from different kinds of bondage, definitely you work with your intelligence, with your discretion and all these things. Definitely you can work, but relate or connect all those other freedom struggles to this core freedom struggle, that is the freedom from defilements. And of course, the path is also given, that is the meritorious actions. Practice these 10 meritorious actions, or you can say parmis. The parmis will take you a little, say it's like more a technical term. Meritorious actions is a general term. Parmi also purifies. Meritorious punya also purifies. Punya and parmi both purify your mind. Purify your mind. You need to purify, to remove the kileshas or the defilements like greed, hatred, and delusion from the mind. Understand them. It's not like simply enforcing, simply forcing yourself. By understanding only you can purify. That is the way. There is no other shortcut. So to understand them, of course, this meditation, this again listening to uh, the right, say the teachings, and practicing, again understanding the importance of generosity, morality, apachayana, respecting the respectables, service, patidana, doing these punyanamodana programs or these patidana programs, patanamodana, appreciating others, punya, all these things, if you keep on cultivating, then you're correctly, truly working on your freedom. That is the right freedom struggle that you have taken up in the life. Okay, you don't want to call it a struggle. That is the right freedom movement or freedom path that you have taken up. So that is about today's Dhamma talk. And as usual, if you have some questions, you can ask questions.
Vandami Banteji.
Okay.
Banteji, what are delusions, Banteji?
Sorry?
What are the delusions we have, Banteji?
Delusions are defilements. You're talking about delusions or defilements.
Yes, Banteji.
Which one?
Delusion, Banteji. Delusion as a defilement. What all comprise of delusion, Banteji? What are the delusions we have?
Different people have different delusions. We have means, how can I say? How can I generalize? So this moha, lobha, dosa, moha. Moha is actually translated as delusion. So generally there are three kinds of delusion. Not knowing is also one kind of delusion. I'm deluded means like I don't know. That is one way of defining one kind of delusion. The second kind of delusion is knowing right as wrong, wrong as right. At times it's also called vipallasa. So something is good, but because of again your delusion, your ignorance, you consider it as bad. Something is bad, you think and you consider it as good. That is also one kind of delusion. The third kind of delusion is like the mind is so, say, weak or so, say, lousy, so dull and so demotivated. There's no energy in the mind at all. It's because of laziness, because of boredom in the mind, because of, say, the inherent dull minds. There is no energy, there is no spirit, there is no, say, that liking, that passion, or that interest in knowing the right things, in knowing the correct things, the wise things, the beneficial things. And that is also one kind of delusion. Generally, the moha, this in defining moha, in defining delusion, these three things come into picture. One is not knowing, it's ignorance. So though your mind is sharp and alert, you don't know it because you have not taken keen interest in that. That is one kind of delusion. The second kind of delusion is knowing right as wrong, wrong as right. That is one kind of delusion. The third one is the mind is so dull, so dispirited, so inactive, demotivated, a lot of dullness, inherent dullness. That is one kind of delusion. Okay, next question.
Vandami Banteji.
In Anguttara Nikaya, this noble eightfold path, this Samma Ditti, Samma Sankapo, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanto, Samma Ajivo, Samma Vayamo, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. These 8 factors, the right view, the right intentions, the right speech, the right action, the right livelihood, the right efforts, the right mindfulness, the right concentration. Generally, they are considered as 8. But in Anguttara Nikaya, it comes under this noble eightfold path. It comes under the groups of 10. In that Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha has classified the different spiritual abilities, qualities in the different groups of 1, groups of 2, groups of 3, something like that. So in the groups of 10, this noble eightfold path comes. So it is the eightfold path. In addition to these 8, Buddha has added 2 more, Samma Jnana and Samma Vimutti. So if you follow this right view, and from this right view, if you take up these right actions, right speech, all these things, right concentration, then you will end up in what is called Samma Jnana, the right knowledge. Then automatically you end up in what is called Samma Vimutti, the right freedom, the right liberation. So again, the right view is the triggering force to get the right liberation, the right freedom. So if you understand the right view, the different ins and outs, the different intricacies, the different dimensions, the different forms of right view, and thereby let your actions, let your speech, let your meditation, let your concentration, mindfulness, everything is based on this right view. And automatically you will get the right knowledge, Samma Jnana. And automatically that right knowledge will liberate you. It will free you. Absolute freedom you will get, Samma Vimutti, the right freedom. So if you want to get right freedom, as I was telling you, the freedom from defilements, then again, right view is the way. So in right view only, all these right wholesome actions, as I was telling you, Dana, Shila, Bhavana, Apachayana, Vayavacha, Pattidana, Pattanumodana, Dhamma Savana, Dhamma Sakacha, Ditthijukamma. So all these things, again, they are the offshoots of this right view only. Through right view only, you can understand all these wholesome actions, the spirit of these wholesome actions, and practice them. And that will take you step by step to the right knowledge, and that right knowledge will liberate you, it will free you. So to achieve that right freedom, again, the right view is the source, is the trigger. So understand this right view. Of course, like if you understand right view, you definitely will understand the defilements in all its say diversity, in all its vividity, in all its I can say vastness. The defilements, actually the defilements is the cause of everything in this world. You see, all this binding world, this human world, or all different kinds of worlds, all these binding worlds are because of defilements only, all the sensations, all the sounds, all the tastes, all the smells, they are actually the expression of different defilements only. So all the world, the proliferation in the world, it's all because of the proliferation in the defilements. The multiplication of the defilements, the multiplication of the worlds, the essential world. If it is, the defilements are so intense, so gross, then the worlds will be more more intense, more gross. If the defilements are more subtle, the worlds will be more subtle. So the expression of defilements on the entire universe is the expression of defilements only. When you completely subdue the defilements, step by step, in the right view, in an authoritative way, then automatically you are sensitizing your worlds also, and then you transcend this worldliness, this samsara, and you will be liberated. You get nibbana. So defilements is the key for this samsara, is the trigger for this samsara. No defilements or annihilation of defilements is the way to nibbana. If you want to free from these different kinds of suffering, different kinds of bondage, you have to work on these defilements and annihilate them. Then only in that very process of annihilating the defilements, you can sensitize your words, you can sensitize your senses, your life. You can go from grossness to subtleness, from higher suffering to lighter suffering, or some refined pleasures. And you can transcend these refined pleasures also, and you end up in the nibbanic pleasure, nibbanic bliss. So this is what is the relation between the worldliness and the defilements. So if you want to conquer this worldliness, you also have to conquer these defilements bit by bit. Okay, so so this is importance of the Buddha's teachings. No other masters very authoritatively bring your mind or focus and help you to focus on these defilements as Buddha. Because the freedom is always the freedom from defilements according to Buddha. There is no other shortcut for freedom. If you want to progress in this path of freedom, then the path is you have to learn the ways and means to get freedom from the defilements. Okay, any other question? Of course, delusion is also a freedom, and delusion also has different forms, and we have to work on this delusion also. And of course, all these virtuous actions will help you to come out of this delusion. Okay. If no more questions, so we'll conclude with the chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyan niddukho aham nicca aham viya dacha me sukhi hontu majjata chatavedino imam hi gammante dhamme. Sadhu.
Vandami Banteji, thank you Banteji.
Vandami Banteji.
Thank you,
Banteji.
Banteji.
Thank you. Thank you very
Vandami
much.
Banteji.
Thank you.
Banteji. Thank you, Banteji.
Vandami Banteji.